Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Lauren, and I will be walking you through a Vinyasa flow practice where we will work on arm balances. So I will give you lots of opportunity to do some arm balances. The first one I'll walk you through a lot of the fundamentals for arm balances, but then from then on we will just sort of explore and try and have fun. So for this practice, you are going to need 2 blocks or 2 paper towel rolls. So these work almost just as good. But you'll need 2 full paper towel rolls. And then that won't come until the very end of the practice, but one of the balance poses that we'll be doing sort of in the middle of the practice, it's much easier to do if you've got a block. So you might keep the paper towel rolls kind of close by and use it as a block upright, certainly not on its side. So that's an option to keep these close by. Handy little DIY blocks for you. So your call, I have blocks, so I'm gonna use blocks, but you absolutely can just use paper towel rolls. But you're gonna need 2 of something like that. Okay, so we're gonna start seated, preferably sitting on something. I don't think you could really sit on your paper towel roll, but if you've got a block, go ahead and grab it. Otherwise, just take a seat. Okay, so find a comfortable seat, hopefully elevating your hips, sitting on something, a pillow, a cushion, a blanket, a block, so that you can really lengthen your spine. Really, one reason that we sit on the block is so that your pelvis can be in neutral, because often when you sit right on the floor, your pelvis tips back, and next thing you know, you're really deeply slouching. So this allows your pelvis to come a little bit closer to neutral. You might even sort of rock the pelvis forward and back a little bit, to the front edge of the sit bones and to the back, and sort of find all the degree that you can go forward, the degree to which you can go back, and then start to make those movements smaller until you eventually find yourself in the middle. Okay, so then your pelvis is now in neutral. So then everything else really has a domino effect. Now your lower back is in neutral, mid back, upper back, the neck. You can relax the shoulders, relax the arms, and allow your eyes to softly close. And take some time turning inward, noticing how it feels to be here. You've put forth the effort to take this time to be on your mat, to practice yoga, to focus on yourself, to really allow yourself to do that. Oftentimes when we're on our mat, we're still thinking about maybe other people or other things we need to do, but that's not why we came to our mat. I would argue it's counterproductive to your practice. Came onto your mat for you, so take this time for you. Really drop into your body. Drop into your breath. Notice your breath. Notice the ease at which you're breathing. Your breath is fluid and smooth, relaxed and easy. Practice called Anapana, the observation of the natural breath. And you are welcome to stay here. Breathe naturally, breathe organically. Or we'll start to manipulate the breath, coming into samavriti, equal breathing, where the 2 parts of the breath are of equal length. So I'll count out the length of the breath to a count of 4, but know that at any moment you're welcome to lengthen it any amount. We want to be focused on the breath, but not straining the breath. You should not feel like you're out of breath or anywhere near fatigue. Okay. So continue to lengthen up through the crown of your head. Let your shoulders relax. Exhale completely. Push all of the breath out of your lungs. And inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. And return back to your natural breath. Notice how you feel. Slowly join your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra, palms together, thumbs softly resting on the collarbones. If it feels right for you in this moment, you're welcome to set an intention for your practice. Ask yourself what brought you to your mat. What is it that makes you choose yoga? Make sure your intention is a positive word or phrase. And give yourself some time to silently and slowly repeat it, to allow it to settle in your heart. And now slowly draw your chin in towards your chest, bowing reverently at your intention. Slowly allow your eyelids to flutter open so you're looking down at your fingertips. And you can release your hands and slowly lift your head. Excuse me. Okay. We are going to stay seated. So if you are sitting asymmetrically, change the cross of your legs, put the other leg in front or on top. Find a comfortable position. Excuse me. Lengthen up through the crown of your head. Let your shoulders relax. Let's move your spine. So inhale as you draw your belly forward. Lift your chest, lift your heart, look up. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, ribs back, chin to the chest, look down. Inhale as you draw the belly forward, lift the chest, lift the heart, look up. Expand through the front side. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, ribs back, chin to the chest, look down, expand the back side. Move with your breath. Inhale into this back bend, a spinal extension. Exhale into the forward bend, spinal flexion. Just a few more, just like this. So with arm balances, a lot of things need to be warmed up. Wrists, arms, shoulders, abs. Abs need to be engaged, and your spine needs to be able to come into a forward bend. A lot of the arm balances, we need this shape. We're sort of in a cat pose in a lot of the arm balances. Excuse me. All right, one more of each. And then slowly return back to the center to a neutral spine. So even though you're in a forward bend for a lot of these movements, we still need all directions of the spine warmed up. So inhale, reach fingertips up. Exhale, bring the right hand down, sweep the left fingertips over, sweeping up and over to the side of the room. Inhale to the center, lengthen up, create length in the spine, and then take the side stretch, the lateral bend. Inhale to the center. Exhale, take the side stretch, really reaching fingertips up and over. Inhale and exhale, moving with your breath. That's one of the translations of Vinyasa. Vinyasa generally gets translated to move at the pace of the breath. So we'll be doing that through quite a bit of the practice, not necessarily all of it. Even when I teach Vinyasa classes, I have such a strong Hatha Iyengar background. Let's do one more of each of these. That I still sort of teach the flows a little bit more Hatha style. So I guess you could consider this class a Hatha Vinyasa, but we will be moving at the pace of the breath, just like we are here. Now inhale, return to the center, lengthen. Exhale, take the twist, drop the arms, turn your heart over to the right. Inhale, lengthen up, fingertips reach to the crown of the head, or reach up as well as the crown of the head. Exhale, take the twist, sweeping and twisting to the left. Inhale, reach up, elongate the spine. Exhale, rotate. Now every time you come to the center, lengthen and elongate the spine so that the twist can be deeper. Oftentimes if we neglect the length first, it turns into a slouchy twist, which is not very productive. So we want length, and then we add on to the twist. We don't swap the twist out, or the length out. Let's do one more. We don't swap one for the other. We add on. Think of them as sort of cumulative movements. Okay, and then inhale, return to the center. Exhale, let the arms come down just so the fingertips reach forward. Like I mentioned, wrists are going to have to be warmed up, so let's do a little bit of that here. So reach fingertips forward, but palms face away from each other, thumbs down. Let the shoulders relax. Cross the right arm over the left. Bring the palms together, interlace the fingers, and bend at your elbows so your knuckles point towards your chest, up towards the ceiling. They might even come forward, they might not, that's okay, but then come back where you started. So keep moving, threading the hands through. I want you to feel a comfortable stretch through your wrists, hands, and forearms. Nothing that is too intense, and that goes for everything that we do in this practice. So this is going to be a more vigorous practice. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but the ceiling fan is right up over the camera. I've got it on full blast because I know I'm going to be sweating. This is a tough practice, but things should feel like they take work, that they take effort, but nothing should be sharpshooting or painful. Certainly nothing in the warm-up. Okay. Next time you come forward, notice which finger is on top, which pinky finger is on top, because I'm going to want you to do the opposite the second time. So notice, release your hands, cross the left arm on top of the right, interlace the fingers the other way, but then thread the hands through the same way. So again, these movements should feel like they take work, they take effort. There might be deep stretches. There might be things where your muscles are being fatigued and shaking. That's okay. All of that is okay. But nothing should make you wince, make a face, or think, ow. That's crucial anytime you practice yoga. But especially when we practice these vigorous classes, sometimes people think they have this sort of no pain, no gain mentality, which is not okay. Don't ever think that. That's not, no, you get all the gain without any pain, okay? Next time your arms come forward, release your hands, release your arms, and roll your shoulders a few times. Yeah, even if you're doing like heavy weightlifting, you should still not be in that mentality of no pain, no gain. There should be no pain, period. Just no pain, end of sentence. That's what we're looking for. And then reverse the direction. Yeah, pain is your body saying you've got to stop what you're doing or you're going to injure yourself, and it's not a good look for your body. Okay, it's not a good feeling. So let's come into tabletop, and we won't be here very long. I always like to bring my blocks to the top two corners of my mat. I might need them later, so if you've got them. And again, maybe bringing one of those paper towel rolls to the front. You might use it as a makeshift block. Okay. That's not until later, but just getting prepared. All right, so from tabletop, now we're actually going to come down onto our forearms, onto our elbows. So you want to make sure that your elbows are shoulder distance apart, which means that you should be able to curl your fingers around your triceps, not just let your fingertips rest. I don't know if you can see that. This is my upper arm bones do not look like a number 11, right? So we want them to be parallel, elbows stacked under the shoulders. So you should be able to curl your fingers over the upper arms. And then for most of us, what we tend to favor here in the hands is either palms together or interlace the fingers. Traditionally, in an ideal world, palms would be flat on the floor, but that tends to ask a lot of the shoulders. So hands together is fine, just make sure the hands are relaxed. Okay, so you're gonna look to the space between your forearms, keep your neck in neutral, lengthen through the back of the neck, and lengthen your legs back, come into a forearm plank. Now here's where we're gonna start to really work the muscles. We've warmed up some spaces, now let's really get the muscles engaged and firing. So reach the heels back, the crown of your head forward, lengthen your body. Push your forearms into the floor, take a deep breath, stay strong in the front side of the body. We need these muscles engaged. Inhale, exhale, dolphin, hike your sit bones to the sky, bend your knees and take baby steps, walking your feet forward towards the center of your mat. Your feet might walk forward a little or a lot, but we're coming into dolphin, which is similar to down dog, you're just on your forearms. So notice how this feels throughout your body. We're opening through the shoulders here, opening through the backs of the legs, and feeling some length in the spine. Stay for a breath. Okay, we're gonna keep moving back and forth. So inhale, walk the feet back, drop the hips down, look to the space between your forearms, pause for a moment. Push forearms down, lift your heart away from the floor. Make sure that your chest muscles are firing. Make sure that the hips are in line with the rest of the body. Stay for just a moment, you've got it. Inhale, exhale, dolphin. Sit bones to the sky, bend the knees, walk the feet forward. And again, a generous bend in the knees here. We're really shifting the focus to the upper body. This isn't about straightening the legs. This isn't about getting the heels on the floor. Stay for a moment. Okay, now last forearm plank. Inhale, walk the feet back, lower the hips down. The hips are in line with the rest of the body. They're not hiked up. You're looking to the space between your forearms. You're pushing your forearms down, lengthening the spine. This time, inhale, exhale, child's pose. Drop the knees, walk the fingers forward, come into an active child's pose. So hips reaching towards the heels, but fingertips crawling forward, palms up off the ground. Your fingers look like bird cages. Your arms are off the ground. Your forehead might be on the ground, that's fine. But feel this opening in your shoulders. Stay for a deep breath. Okay, now walk your hands back so your hands come under your shoulders. Push your hands down, inhale, rise, lifting your torso. Okay, we'll come back to tabletop. All right, shoulders are warmed up. Hopefully they're feeling it. So hands under shoulders, spread the fingers. Now you're looking to the space between your thumbs. Again, neck is in neutral. Just for a moment, step into plank pose. So more of a high plank, upright plank, pushing the hands down, lifting the chest. Inhale, exhale, down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now let's stay here for a few breaths. So you might pedal out your heels, you might sway your hips, you might shake your head, whatever you need to do. Make sure you are feeling comfortable in this pose. There might be a lot going on. That's okay. But again, nothing sharp, nothing shooting, nothing that feels painful, makes you wince or make a face. That is crucial. Take a breath. Okay, now deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward. This first one, exhale, walk or step forward. No jumping yet. Walk your feet forward into forward fold Uttanasana. Feet are hip distance towards the top of the mat. Feet look like the number 11. Maybe a soft, maybe a generous bend in the knees. But I always like to suggest bending the knees in the first few forward folds, okay? I was worried I wasn't gonna get that sentence out. Okay, so you're feeling a comfortable stretch to the back side of the body, whether that's the calves, the knees, the thighs, the glutes, the spine, but comfortable through the back side. Stay for a breath.
Now firmly push the heels of the feet into the floor. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. So hands can always come to blocks or that paper towel roll, the shins or the thighs, but create length in the spine. Reach the crown of the head forward, the tailbone back. Really elongate. Stay for just a moment, really reaching the crown of the head forward. Push the heels down and inhale, rise all the way up. Reach the fingertips to the sky. Maybe add a bit of a back bend by looking up, and then slowly bring your hands through to your heart. Take a deep breath. All right. We'll move through several sun salutations here. We'll start with Surya Namaskar C. So weight back in the heels. You can wiggle the toes. Push the heels down. Fire up the legs. Lengthen the spine. This should be an active pose. Inhale, circle the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana, maybe looking up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step the right foot back, coming into a runner's lunge. Plant the hands onto something under the shoulders, and really lengthen that stance. So make sure that the right foot has really stepped back all the way, because the hope is that the right foot can stay right where it's at, and the left foot will just meet it, and you'll be right in your down dog. So if hands are under shoulders and you've taken that long stance, we should be able to really seamlessly come into down dog. So inhale, exhale, let's do it, downward facing dog. So you might have to still walk your feet back a little bit, that's all right. But the hope is that that lunge sets us up for a good down dog. Now we spread the fingers as wide as possible. Push the hands down. Inhale, shift forward, plank pose. Now the hope is that we can seamlessly come from down dog into plank, that you don't have to walk your feet back at all. So again, setting one pose up well so it seamlessly flows into the next. Now push the hands down, lift the chest. You might drop to your knees or stay on your toes, but either way, inhale, shift forward, exhale, slowly lower all the way down into your belly. Let the tops of your feet come down onto the ground. Bring your arms alongside your body with the palms facing in. Push the tops of the feet down. Push the hips down. Lift your head, neck, chest, shoulders, arms, and hands. Lift your chest away from the floor, but keep the back of the neck long. There should be no wrinkles in the back of your neck. Reach your fingertips back like you're reaching for your feet, but draw your hands a little closer together, like you're trying to get your palms closer toward one another. Feel the work in your upper back and your mid back. Stay for a breath. Inhale, lower the hands under the shoulders. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take a breath. Okay. Now very slowly, pick up the right foot, reach the right heel back, keep the hips level, belly button pointing down towards your left big toe. Inhale, really reach that right heel back. Exhale, draw the right knee forward towards the belly. Quietly place the foot in between your hands, coming back to that lunge. So left foot stays where it's at, but right foot comes all the way forward. You've again got that really long stance. Hands come down under the shoulders. You push your hands down, lift your chest. Make sure that your chest is not resting on your thigh. They can touch, but one should not be taking the weight of the other. Inhale. Exhale, step forward, forward fold, Uttanasana, rounding through the upper body. Inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Push the heels into the floor, inhale, rise. Fingertips to the sky, Urdhva Hastasana, add the back bend. We're gonna do that again. Exhale, hinge at the hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step the left foot back, all the way back. So again, step it all the way back. This is where your hands and your left foot will stay for down dog, for plank, and then even when we lower down. So we want to set up a strong foundation at the start. Okay. Inhale, exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, stepping both feet back, feet about hip distance apart. You reach your sit bones to the sky as you push your hands into the earth. Now inhale, shift forward, plank pose. Spread the fingers as wide as possible. Push the fingertips into the ground. Don't let the wrists take all of the work. Keep the length in the spine, the work in the chest. Inhale, shift forward, exhale, slowly lower, all the way down into your belly. Tops of the feet down, arms alongside the body. Push the feet down, push the hips down. Inhale, lift the upper body. Reach the fingertips back like you're reaching for your feet. Draw your palms closer toward one another, but lift your chest. Lengthen the back of your neck. Look down at your mat. Shalabhasana, locust. Take a breath. Inhale, lower the hands. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay. Now very slowly, pick up the left foot. Keep the hips even and level. Belly button pointing towards the right big toe. Inhale. Exhale, draw the knee in towards the belly. Quietly place the foot in between the hands. Stepping it all the way forward, but keeping that right foot all the way back. You've got a long stance here. Inhale. Exhale, step forward, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Push the heels down, inhale, rise. Now we're going to shift to Surya Namaskar A. So exhale, hinge of the hips, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step back to plank pose with either your right or your left. Just check out which one you did, because next time try to do the opposite. So spread the fingers wide, push fingertips down, lift the chest, lengthen the spine, reach the heels back, crown of the head forward, you've got it. Inhale, shift forward, exhale, slowly lower all the way down. Tops of the feet on the ground, you can keep the hands where they're at, or ideally slide them back a little bit closer so they're alongside your ribs. Keep elbows in tight, inhale, rise your back bend. Draw the heart forward, shoulders down and back, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to stay for a few breaths. So take a few moments to catch your breath. Noticing what it feels like to be in your body right now. How did those movements and those poses affect you, if at all? One more breath. Now deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward to the space between the thumbs. Exhale, travel forward. You can walk, step, jump, whatever you need to do. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Push the heels down. Inhale, rise. Fingertips to the sky. We're going to do that one more time. Exhale, hinge of the hips, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step back, plank pose. Step with the opposite foot this time. Spread the fingers, push the hands down. Make sure you're not letting your heart sag. Push into the floor like you're trying to push the earth away from you. Like you're trying to rip your mat in half. You've got it, keep it up. Inhale, shift. Exhale, slowly lower. Slide the hands back. Inhale, rise to your back bend, Bhujangasana, Cobra. Inhale, exhale, down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. We stay for a few breaths. And you observe the sensations of your body. Anything and everything that might be going on, check in with it. One more breath. Deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Walk, step, or jump, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Push the heels down. Inhale, rise. Fingertips to the sky. We're going to come right into it. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Now this time, pause. Lengthening the spine, maybe hands on the floor, the shins, or the thighs. Now, keeping the spine long and parallel to the floor, you're looking about a foot in front of your toes. Walk your feet out wide so they're about mat distance. Turn your toes out so your feet look like the letter V. Inhale, hands at the heart. Exhale, let the hips drop down. Come into Malasana, or deep yogic squat. Okay. Now, here's first option for an arm balance. So you could just stay here. If you want a vinyasa practice but you're not looking for the arm balances, that's very much possible throughout this practice. But If you are looking for arm balances, here's your first opportunity. Here I'll talk a little bit more about what you're looking for in arm balances, and then for the other ones, I'll just sort of cue it, and you can move a little bit more at your own pace. But so for all of these, all the ones we're doing today, and most of them, as I'm thinking about them, pretty much every arm balance has these things in common. Hands look like plank hands or down dog hands. Fingers spread wide, hands about shoulder distance, your middle fingers point forward, the creases of your elbows point forward, and you basically come into chaturanga elbows, which looks, ignore the rest of my body, but looks something like this. Elbows bent at a right angle, elbow stacks over the wrist, shoulder and elbow in line with one another. So hopefully, my elbow looks like a right angle, sort of like an upside down capital L. That's what we want. And in this one, you rest your shin on your tricep. I always like to think they sort of make like a letter X, because running parallel to each other, it's like being on a tightrope. This way it's not very stable. We really want to kind of crisscross them. I always think like Lincoln logs, sort of. You don't, like they have to crisscross, right? So I don't know if that's helpful. That's how my brain thinks. But so you sort of crisscross. For those of you who have more flexibility in your spine, you might get your knee into your armpit. That's more of like a crane variation. That works too. But spread the fingers wide, middle finger forward. Two things in this pose that often get overlooked is the importance of bringing your sit bones up towards the ceiling. If you don't come up high, you won't be able to balance. So if you're down too low, you're going to stay back and low. So lift the sit bones up, bend at the elbows. We want chaturanga elbows. The shins rest on the triceps. You look forward, way far forward. Let one foot float up off the ground, and maybe you stay there, or maybe both lift up off the ground. Maybe you keep the elbows bent, that's a little bit more stable, or maybe you challenge yourself and try to straighten the arms. I always struggle with that. But give yourself another moment or two, because again, we've got several more opportunities for arm balances. Don't use all of your energy in this first one. So just another maybe 3 or so breaths, coming into Bakasana, crow pose, or some variation of it. Keep your eyes on a fixed spot, just like any other balance pose. Okay, and we'll meet in Malasana. Okay, give yourself a moment. Okay, you're gonna push your feet down. I like to also push my hands down. Return back to forward fold Uttanasana. Feet about hip distance apart, toes pointing forward again. Okay. Now from here, inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step back to plank. We're going to take a vinyasa. You can always drop to the knees. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly lower. Elbows in tight. That preps us for those arm balances. Inhale, take your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, from down dog, slowly pick up the left foot, reach the left heel back, keep the hips level. Inhale, exhale, draw the left knee forward towards your belly and quietly place the foot in between the hands, taking as many steps as you need to get it there. Hands can come to blocks or just right onto the ground, but support your upper body with your arms, not your leg. Pivot the back foot so that the right toes point directly over to the right. Deeply bend the left knee, push the left heel down. Inhale, rise, warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. So front knee comes forward, knee over the ankle. So in yoga, we're usually looking for straight lines or right angles, even a series of straight lines. So the hope, I know that I'm not in this right now, but the hope is that your front knee makes a right angle. So in an ideal world, my pose would look something more like this, but I can feel that that's too much in my hip, so I walk the back foot forward a little bit, but at the very least, the shin is a vertical line. It's straight up and down, perpendicular with the floor. We lengthen the spine, we reach the arms out, but relax the shoulders. If it's comfortable in your neck, you turn at your neck to look over your left middle finger. Now this is where I sort of do more hatha style. So we're going to stay in each of these for a few breaths. I think there's a lot of value to holding these poses. Notice how hard your left quads, the top of your left thigh is now feeling like it's working. If it's not now, it will in a moment. But the left leg should feel that work. And if we're not here very long, it won't work very hard. So work that left leg, lengthen the spine, Reach out with the arms, but relax the shoulders. Take a deep breath, warrior two, Virabhadrasana two. Okay, keep the legs as they are. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, Parsvakonasana, side angle pose. Now you've got lots of options. Right fingertips can reach directly up to the sky, or they can reach at a diagonal. So the right side of your body is a long, straight line. So from the right ankle to the right fingers. Now if you take this variation, make sure that the arm doesn't start to drop in front of you. Draw it back, but draw the low ribs in. We don't want to back bend. This is not about the spine, it's about the hips. For more in the hips, your left hand might come down to a block, a paper towel, or the floor, to the inside or the outside of the foot. Now, here's where I'm going to give you an option for a more challenging pose. You could stay here. You could take the bind, so left hand comes in front of the left thigh, wraps around, right arm grabs, and you clasp your hands sort of behind your left thigh or behind your left hip. You can stay here. Or bird of paradise. Keep your weight in your left foot, but walk the right foot forward. That back foot that is not bound, you walk it forward under your right hip. Remember, straight lines, joints stacked, so the ankle has to come under the hip. You come up onto your left big toes, you find a spot somewhere to look at that won't move, and you very slowly, I haven't practiced this pose in a while, we'll see what it looks like for me, focus on yourself. You slowly lift your upper body, lifting the chest, expanding through your heart. This is bird of paradise. Maybe you lengthen your left leg, reaching the left foot for the ceiling. That depends on your hamstrings, not your hip. Okay, so bird of paradise, for just another breath or two, ground through the right heel, lift the chest, lengthen the spine, and then very slowly start to bend both knees, release the bind. We'll all meet in side angle. Step that right foot back, left forearm on the top of the left thigh, right fingertips, mine feels best right fingertips to the sky, but it could be up overhead. Okay. Now we're going to come into another balance pose. In case you didn't come to bird of paradise, I don't want to cheat you. So this is where if you're using a block, this is where you're going to probably need it. So right hand will come to the right hip. Left hand will grab onto your block or your makeshift block. I'm going to scoot my body back because I'm too close to those crystals, but your block and your left hand come about 8 to 10 inches in front of your left pinky toe. Not the big toe, the pinky toe. You're going to shift your weight forward into the left heel and the left hand, Ardha Chandrasana, balancing half moon pose. Now, your right heel reaches back. Your right toes point over to the right. Flex your foot. With your right hand at your right hip, roll your right hip back, point your belly button to the right, not at the floor. Hips are stacked. And then maybe reach your right fingertips to the sky. We want a series of straight lines. So you should look like, sort of like a letter X, really reaching out in all these different directions. Push back with the heel, stack the hips, lengthen the spine, reach up with the right fingertips, take a breath. And then slowly, let's meet in warrior two. Deeply bend the left knee, right foot touches down, return the torso upright, arms reach out. Is your left thigh feeling like it's working yet? Take a breath. Inhale, exhale, cartwheel the arms, plant your hands, step back, downward facing dog. If you'd like, you can take a vinyasa, but you've got about 3 to 5 breaths before we keep moving. So you're welcome to inhale into plank. Exhale, slowly lower, elbows in tight. Inhale, rise your back bend. Exhale, down dog. Stay for a breath. Now deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Walk, step, or jump forward, fold Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Push the heels down. Inhale, rise. Maybe add a bit of a back bend. Bring your hands through to your heart. Take a deep breath. Okay. Now again, I'm gonna move back because I know I'm a little bit too close to those crystals, but you can probably stay right where you're at. We're gonna stay on the same side, continuing with a few more poses. So, and option for an arm balance. So, inhale, reach your fingertips to the sky. Exhale, sink your hips down and back, Utkatasana chair pose. Now, I often encourage students to do this with their feet and knees together, but here it's okay because we're about to move one of the legs. So, feet and knees are about hip distance apart. Your weight is back in your heels. You can wiggle your toes. The hope is that your shin is, again, a vertical line, straight up and down. It's not a diagonal. Okay, so you sit your hips down and back, lengthen through the spine, work through the quads. Now you can stay here, chair pose, just like this. You can make it a balance pose, just a traditional balance pose. Look at something that won't move, shift your weight into the left foot, pick up the right, and come to figure 4. Your ankle rests on the top of the thigh. Softly flex your right foot, protect your right knee. Keep sinking your hips down and back. You should be able to wiggle your left toes. Now you can stay here, doing whatever you want with your arms, or an arm balance, flying pigeon. So you really deeply drop your hips, bring your hands down, spread the fingers. So same thing, middle finger forward, creases of the elbows forward, chaturanga arms. Bend at your elbows. You rest your shin on your triceps. You hook your right, I'm not sure if you can see this, you hook your right foot around your left tricep. So kind of curl it in, create like a little stopper for it, a little bookend for it. And then you look forward, hike the sit bones up. Left foot might just float up off the ground and you might stay here. You might lengthen the left leg back, but keep spreading the fingers, pushing the hands down. Stay strong through the arms. I'll give you about 3 or so more breaths because again, we've got more to do. You can't get too tuckered out on these first few. But flying pigeon, and then when you are ready, we'll come back into chair. So give yourself just another breath. We'll meet in chair pose. I like hands at the heart here, but you can reach arms up overhead from chair. Inhale, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step back plank, optional vinyasa, or just push to down dog. But for that vinyasa, inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, take your back bend. Exhale, down dog. So you can always bypass a vinyasa, take a child pose, a down dog, whatever you need. The hope is that you're sort of taking a pose where you feel like when we come to the second side, you can do it with just as much energy as you did the first. Sort of flushing everything out, resetting. You are ready for side 2. Okay, so from here, pick up the right foot, reach the right heel back. Inhale. Exhale, draw the right knee forward towards the belly. Place the foot in between your hands. You stay where you're at. I am going to turn so I'm still facing the camera. Okay, so right foot forward in between the hands. Back. All right, pivot the back foot, ground the heel, deeply bend the right knee. Inhale, warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. So we're going to do all the same stuff on the second side. Now sometimes when we get to the second side, people get a little anxious. They know it's coming, so they get there before I'm there. Or they start to get in their head, oh, that arm balance is so hard, I don't want to do it on the second side. Don't go there. That's not being present. That's still within your mat. But you're living 5 minutes from now, even 2 minutes from now. That is not the present, that is still the future. So how does Warrior 2 feel? Give Warrior 2 its shining moment. It's a wonderful pose. It might be one of my favorite poses. I really have a soft spot for this pose. So deeply bending the right knee, right thigh working hard, quads working hard. You don't feel it now, you will later. Left heel pushes down, pinky toe pushes down. Spine is long. Make sure that the low ribs don't poke forward, draw them in. Spine is in neutral. This isn't about the spine. Reach the arms out. Arms reach, but shoulders drop. Warrior 2, deeply bending that right knee. Again, the hope is that the right knee makes a right angle. I know that mine isn't. I can see it even from up here, but that's what we're striving for. Stay for one more breath. Keep the legs as they are. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, side angle pose, Parsvakonasana. So left fingertips can reach to the sky. Left fingertips can reach up and away at a diagonal. The left side of the body is a long straight line. Make sure that the left shoulder doesn't drop. Draw it up, draw the ribs in. Okay, you can stay here. Right hand might come down to a block or a makeshift block or to the floor, to the inside or the outside of the foot. Then in that variation, I like to reach left fingertips to the sky, but it's your call. Now you can stay here. You absolutely could stay here. This is a wonderful pose too. Or take the bind and then maybe from there, bird of paradise. So right hand comes in front of the right thigh and then hooks under. Left arm goes behind. You clasp your hands sort of by your right hip or your right thigh. Keep your right foot where it's at, but walk the left foot forward. Might take a bunch of little baby hops, that's all right. But make sure that the ankle is under the hip. You want things stacked. Come up to the right big toe. Look at a spot on the floor that won't move and ground the right heel down to lift yourself up. Now lift the chest, lengthen the spine, maybe lengthen the right leg. Bird of paradise. I forget what this is called in Sanskrit. Let's stay for 2 more breaths. Lengthen your spine. Ooh. Lift your chest and heart. And then deeply bend both knees. Let's return to warrior 2. Into side angle, excuse me. Okay. Now, left hand will come to the left hip. Right hand will need something, most likely for this. A block, a paper towel roll, whatever. But you're gonna, with your right hand, reach that thing, whatever it is, forward about 8 to 10 inches in front of your right pinky toe. It really is in front of the pinky toe, not the big toe. You shift your weight forward, you keep your gaze at a fixed spot on a drishti, and you allow the left leg to lift and float. Lift it up high, push through the heel. Now, with your left hand at your left hip, open your hips. The belly button should not be pointing towards the floor. This isn't like a warrior 3. We want Ardha Chandrasana. So point your belly button over to the left side of the room, left hip stacked on top of right hip. Then maybe left fingertips to the sky. Now again, a series of straight lines. Your right hand is directly under the right shoulder. And then continuing up that straight line, left shoulder and left wrist, all stacked. Reach the left heel back, right heel down. Take a deep breath. This is not my side today. And then we'll meet in warrior 2. Deeply bend the front knee, let the back foot rest. Warrior 2, take a breath. Let yourself come back upright. Let yourself settle. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel the arms, step back, downward facing dog. If you'd like to take a vinyasa, you are more than welcome to, or a child's pose, or a down dog. Okay, I'm gonna flip back around, but we've still got more on this side. So from downward facing dog, deeply bend the knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Forward fold Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Push the heels down. Inhale, rise. Circle the arms, fingertips to the sky. Bring the hands through to the heart. Take a deep breath. All right. So again, I'm going to back up. You can probably stay where you're at. We're going to come into chair, figure 4, the arm balance. And I'm going to stay on this side so now you can see it from the other way. I don't know if that's going to be helpful, but here's hoping, right? Okay. So some of these poses are hard to figure out which way is going to help you see it best. But I'm trying. All right. So from Tadasana, inhale, reach fingertips towards the sky. Exhale, chair pose, Utkatasana. So weight is back in your heels. You can wiggle your toes. Knees are deeply bent. Seat is dropping towards the floor. Quads are working hard. You can reach your arms up overhead and just stay there. You can reach your hands at your heart and just stay there. You can shift your weight into your right foot. Left ankle comes to the top of the right thigh, figure 4. Flex the left foot. Oh, look at a spot on the floor that won't move. You can stay here or flying pigeon. So deeply drop your hips down. Bring your hands onto the floor. Plank hands, down dog hands. Spread the fingers, hands shoulder distance. This is not my strong side. So fingers spread wide. Creases of the elbows forward. You shift forward. The shin rests on the triceps. You hook your left foot around your right arm. Make a little bookend for it. Lean forward, look forward. Maybe let the right foot just hover off the ground. Maybe the right foot lengthens back. It's not my side. Whew, it's not feeling good today. So I'm not gonna push it because it made me wince, it made me make a face, it made me think, ow. So it's not my pose today on the side. But if it is your pose, you keep going for it. I'll give you just a few breaths. So again, it's this sort of flying pigeon. And you might stay with that right knee in close. That's okay. Lengthening the leg is usually what gets me, and that's what made something kind of cramp up for me. Okay. I didn't want to practice all of this before having to do it again. I can't do this 2 times in a row. Okay, but from wherever you're at, once you eventually come out of this pose, let's meet in forward fold, feet hip distance, toes pointing forward. Just let the upper body surrender. Take a breath. All right, one more time. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step back, plank pose. Now you can go right to down dog or one more vinyasa. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now let's all meet in downward facing dog and let's take 3 breaths here. Let's take open mouth exhalations. Anything that you feel like you want to leave behind, whether that's the stress of those last poses, the frustration from those last poses, whatever it is, wash it away, let it go, release it. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. 2 more. Inhale, exhale. 1 more. Inhale, exhale. And now close the lips, just breathe in and out through your nose. Okay. Now from down dog, deeply bend the knees. Let's come to tabletop. Now from tabletop, we're gonna be focusing on another option for an arm balance, but we are gonna be kneeling for a little bit, so you might wanna pad under your knees if you wanna just fold your mat over, put a kink in it, whatever you need. Okay, let's step the left foot forward. Let's start by stepping it in between the hands. Now, I like to bring my hands down onto blocks here, or whatever you've got. We're gonna allow the feet and the shin and the back knee to push down so that you can lift up and really reach up, even with your hips, not just with your heart. Lift your hips up towards the sky and then allow the hips to come forward a little bit. I want you to feel a comfortable stretch in your right hip flexor. Now, you can lift your hips up without even lifting your upper body. So I'm actually gonna lower my upper body just a little bit. Okay. So feel a comfortable stretch in the front of your right hip. This is your right hip flexor. We're gonna do 1 more arm balance. And for that one, we need the hip flexor a little open. Now, I will admit, this next arm balance is probably the most challenging out of all of them we've done. And so some of you are probably thinking, oh, well, I won't be able to do it then. You're getting into your head about, don't do that. That's not why I told you that. I'm telling you that because I want you to think about, you are trying something new, you are experimenting, you are being playful and fun, you are exploring. Think of this as exploring, and it should be exciting and fun, not, oh, I can't do it. That's not what we're after, ever, in yoga, ever. Whether it's an arm balance or a handstand or just a deep twist or something. If you quote unquote can't do it, that's okay. Maybe someday you will. And so you got to kind of have that little engine that could, I think I can mentality. So you absolutely, though, could. If your wrists are feeling like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, you don't have to. You could just stay right here. You could kind of ease off the wrist, whatever you've got to do. You don't have to take the arm balance. Remember that first and foremost. But if you want to take the arm balance, I'm going to get rid of the blocks. I'm going to move them just so you can see. We're coming into flying splits. Flying splits. Ekapada Kundanyasana. All right, so you're gonna walk your left foot over to the left, hands come to the inside. Now you still want chaturanga arms, but it's very different here. Instead of the hands starting here under the shoulders, we wanna walk the hands back so they're more under the hips, so that when we bend the elbows, look at that, chaturanga arms. Now, we wanna get the left thigh, the hamstrings, the back of the thigh on the left triceps. So it kind of comes under. I'll show you on the other side too, but just for a moment here. It looks something like this. Okay, so left hamstrings, back of the thigh, resting on the back of the upper arm, the triceps. Now for me, and this is my body, I found that this is not very common, but this is the way I practice this pose. When I bend my right elbow, I can get my right hip onto that elbow, and it makes the pose much easier. That might not happen for you, okay? But you bend both elbows, you lengthen the right leg, knee off the ground, just come to the toes, walk the left foot a little to the left, let that flow first. So my left foot is just over to the left, not necessarily forward, which is what it's supposed to do, but this is sort of a variation. And then I let the right toes lift up off the ground. My right elbow is in my right hip, which again might not happen for you. My left forearm, or I'm sorry, not forearm, tricep is in my left hamstring. Play with it, try it, be playful, be adventurous, explore. If it doesn't work, oh well, that's okay. There's always tomorrow or next year or whatever, or maybe it's just not gonna be your pose. There are some poses that I have learned are just, they're just never gonna be my pose, and that's okay. Other people can have them, that's all right, I don't need them. There's enough yoga poses out there in the world. You don't need to be able to do every single one. Okay. When you are done exploring on this side, let the right knee drop down. Let's come back to that lunge, that low lunge. All right, and then step the left knee back. If you want to roll out your wrists, roll out your hips, do whatever you need to do, because obviously we're about to do that on the second side, so if something is feeling like it needs a little bit of a break. We are going to do, obviously, this on the second side, and then we rest, and then we stretch. So this is really the last arm balance, last thing that takes work. Okay. So I will stay facing this side so you can see it now from the other side. Hopefully that's helpful. The lunge. Right foot comes forward in between the hands. I push my blocks off to the side. I'm just going to leave them off to the side. But we're going to make sure that we're pushing the right foot down, left knee, shin, foot down to lift the hips up. Not just the spine, the hips up. And then allow the hips to come forward. Left hip flexor feeling the length. So your hip flexor is the place where your torso meets your thigh. It gets very tight, especially from sitting, which I'm sure a lot of us are doing these days, myself included. I'm watching a lot of TV, which I do sitting. So hip flexors are tight on most people, so that's why we just spend some time to lengthen it. That's all right if you're feeling a lot of sensation here. That's perfectly normal and perfectly fine. Let's take about 2 more deep breaths here. Okay, and then allow the hips to come back a little bit. Walk the right foot to the right hand comes to the inside. So hands are still shoulder distance. They're just to the inside of the right foot. Now, you're going to you're gonna walk your hands back. So they're not under the shoulders anymore. The shoulder distance, middle finger forward, creases of the elbows forward, but they're not under the shoulders anymore. You slide them back. They might sort of be closer to my hips. All right. And then you bend your elbows. I end up sort of splaying the right one out just a little bit so that, again, the back of the right thigh can rest on the back of the upper right arm. So hamstring to triceps. And then you walk the right foot over to the left a little. Right foot to the right a little bit. And then come off the left knee, bend both elbows. Now this is where my left elbow can rest on my left hip. My right foot really, it could come back. It's standing, or it's supposed to be flying splits. So it's like you're in the splits in an arm balance. If you can't do the splits normally, you're probably not going to be able to do the splits in an arm balance, myself included. So the splits are that exact pose I was talking about. The splits are never going to happen in my body, and I'm okay with that. But from here, wherever the right knee sort of is, allow the left foot to lift. Stay strong in the arms. Look at a spot that won't move. I like to look over to the right. Play with it, try it. It's a lot of work. Don't stress yourself out. Stay for just a few more breaths if that feels good, or just get out of it if you're like, you know what, nah, that's okay, that's okay. Whew, those are hard poses. All right, so then we'll just come to a seat, and we're really just gonna come to a seat for just a moment. All right, so I'll sort of come at this diagonal so I'm sure you can see. All right, so let's take a seat with your legs extended. Here's when we're just gonna stretch, cool down, everything's really relaxed from here on out. All right, keep the right leg long, bend the left knee, bottom of the foot flat on the ground. It can stay here. You can bring the foot to the outside of the thigh. If you do that, make sure the base of the big toe is down. Listening to your hips and your lower back, you might bend the right knee, heel to the opposite hip. If that's the case, your right knee points forward, your left knee points to the ceiling. They don't both point forward. That is a pose, that's just not the pose we're coming to. So left kneecap to the sky, right kneecap forward towards probably the top of your mat. Keeping your spine as it is, don't twist the spine yet. Left hand comes behind you like it's reaching for the back left corner of your mat. Right fingertips reach to the sky as you inhale and grow tall. Exhale, take the twist over to the left. Now there's a lot of different variations. You can just wrap your arm around your leg and hug it in. You can hook tricep to quad, upper arm to front of the thigh, and use it as leverage. If you really liked taking those binds in Bird of Paradise and Bound Side Angle, maybe you take another one. The half bind would be just to reach the left arm over across, like you're reaching for your right hip. The full bind would be right fingertips under the left thigh towards the back of the knee, and then you clasp the hands. There we go. Okay. And maybe you don't. Maybe this is one of those poses that just isn't going to happen for you, and that's okay. You've really got to set aside your ego in this kind of practice. Not every body can do every pose, and that's okay. That's okay. You meet your body where it's at. So you sit up tall, you rotate your heart over to the left, you might turn at your neck to look over your left shoulder, you might even stretch through your eyes if you're like me and you've been looking at a TV screen several hours a day. You might look out of the left corners of your eyes as much as you can, really stretch your eyes, try to pick a spot on the wall, stay with it, take a breath. And then blink your eyes back to neutral, return your head and your neck, your arms, your shoulders, your upper body, release the bottom arm, or bottom leg, excuse me, and then the top. And then you can rock and roll the legs out. I'll stay facing this way so you can see again sort of what the bind looks like, if that helps. But I forgot which way we were twisting. I think we're gonna keep we keep the right leg straight, bend the left knee. No. At home, you're probably yelling at the screen. Keep the left leg long, bend the right knee. It could stay to the inside, it can come to the outside. I know I do the same when I'm watching something at home. I'm yelling at the TV, no, no, no. Okay, so you can stay here, make sure the base of the right big toe is down. You can stay or bend the left knee, heel towards the opposite hip. So your left knee points forward, your right knee points to the sky. They're pointing in not necessarily opposite directions, but not the same direction. You're gonna keep your torso still. You don't move the torso yet, but your right hand comes behind you like you're reaching for the back right corner of your mat. Left fingertips reach to the sky as you inhale, sit up tall. Exhale as you take the twist over to the right. Left arm might hug the thigh in. You might hook tricep to quad. You might take the half bind. Right hand wraps around like it's reaching for your left hip. You could stay here. Or full bind, left hand reaches under the right thigh, like under the back of the knee, and you clasp your hands wherever you can, or grab onto clothes or whatever you've got. Okay, so sit up tall, rotate your heart. If it feels comfortable in your neck, look over your your right shoulder, and maybe you look out of the right corners of your eyes. Try to pass the spot that you found on the first side, on the wall behind you. Take a deep breath. Blink your eyes back to neutral. Return your head and your neck. Release your hands, arms, and shoulders. The spine. Bottom leg, top leg. Okay. Now here is where we are going to take a back bend to stretch. So we were working these spaces quite a bit. Every arm balance, every plank, lots of poses, we were working this space in the body. So let's take a back bend. If you've got paper towels, you're gonna place your paper towels so they look like the letter T, and you're gonna lay back on them just like this. If you've got blocks, you're gonna do the same thing, but you've got a few more options, obviously, because the blocks have different heights. Option one is to place them like this. If you've got the paper towels, they're probably gonna be touching. The blocks are not as tall, so they're not gonna be touching if you've got blocks. But if you've got blocks, the one for your head is one height higher. If you're feeling really open, like you really want a deep stretch and you know that your spine is a little bit more mobile, you might up the ante. But again, the one under your head is still one height higher. Also, since you're practicing at home, some people like to practice this pose where the blocks look like more like parallel lines. Like the height of the head is still higher, but they just look more instead of like the letter T. I personally, in my body, that just doesn't feel good, but you could try it. So you've got a few options. We're gonna stay for a while because the hope is that you're coming into a pose that feels really good and will help you counter everything that we just did. So the blocks should feel comfortable wherever they're at. It might take you some time to sort of wiggle and move and finesse all of that. You might bend your knees and have your feet flat on the ground, or you might have them extended, the legs extended. Okay, but you let your arms, maybe they come out in opposite directions, maybe just sort of at a diagonal, about halfway between out in opposite directions in the body. But the hope is that you're feeling a comfortable back bend. So you feel the opening from down at your navel, all the way up across the front of your torso, all the way by your heart. So you feel the back bend, the shape that your spine is making. And then you also feel this opening across your chest. Imagine your collarbones sliding away from each other, expanding out to the sides in opposite directions. Like your collarbones and your chest muscles just sort of slide towards the shoulders and down and off to the sides, away from your heart. Let the forearms feel heavy, the backs of the hands feel heavy. Let everything relax. This is a variation of fish pose, Matsandrasana. It's meant to be comfortable, easy, and again, a comfortable stretch, opening and expanding all of the muscles that over the course of the last hour we were asking to contract, shorten, and work. We need both. We need both the movement and the stillness. We need the work and the relaxing. We need the shortening and the lengthening, the effortful and the effortless. So allow this to be the yin to the yang of the practice, balancing out your practice. stay for 3 more breaths. Slowly deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe let your head rock just very slowly and gently side to side. Okay. Now if you're on the lower heights of the blocks, or if you're on paper towels, you can bend your knees and slowly roll sideways off the blocks. Come all the way off the blocks so you're in a tucked fetal position. If you're on the higher heights like me, what's a safer way to get out of this pose is to bring your forearms alongside your body, palms down sort of by your hips. Tuck your chin to your chest and push your forearms and your hands down into the ground to lift yourself up off the blocks. And then no matter where you're at, remove the props and come back down onto your back. Either legs extended or knees bent. But come flat onto your back. Notice how your spine feels. Take 3 breaths here. Breath in. As you breathe out, hug your knees in towards your chest. You can rock from side to side, trace circles with your knees, take a happy baby, whatever you need. And in a few moments, we'll be coming into Shavasana. So giving yourself some time to move in any way that you need for that. You might set yourself up with some props, especially if you've got those paper towels. What could be good? Blocks are a little tough for this. If you got like a blanket or a towel, you want something ideally like round and softer. You might put the paper towel rolls under the backs of your knees. Your heels should still be on the ground, but this will help soften your hamstrings and your lower back. You might not need them, and you don't have to use them. But set yourself up in any way. I'm going to turn the fan down one little notch. It's, again, on high. It's a little much for Shavasana. Okay, I'm going to come to a seat, but you come onto your back. So make your way down onto your back. Find yourself in a pose that takes no work, no effort. Again, we need the balance between the work and the rest, the movement and the stillness, the effortful and the effortless. So can you find stillness? Can you find rest? Can you find an effortless feeling? Not just in your muscles, not just in your joints. Can you find the rest and ease and stillness in the superficial and the tangible, but also in the abstract, in the untangible? Find softness, stillness,
and relaxation in a very deep way. Relax everything. deepen your breath. And as you deepen your breath, imagine your breath filling your entire body with light, effortless breath. So that it becomes effortless to move, to rock the head, to run the thumbs over the rest of the fingers, and to wiggle the toes. You can roll your wrists and ankles, move your arms and legs. And reach your arms overhead, stretching as if you just woke up from a long nap. Fingertips and toes in opposite directions. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, hug your knees in towards your chest. And slowly roll over onto either side in a tucked fetal position, resting your ear on your arm to support your head and neck. Keeping your eyes closed and using the strength of both arms, push down into the ground and come up to a comfortable seat. Take a moment here to thank yourself for making it to your mat today. You did it. And maybe reflect on your intention. What is it that brought you to your mat today? Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my life contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom for all. Now slowly join your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra. To seal our practice, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. Om is the oldest and most sacred mantra. It unites all of us together. You're welcome to join me or just listen, but again, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. Let's start with a deep and clearing breath. Inhale for Om. The light or the good in me acknowledges, respects, and bows to the light or the good in you. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me, exploring, having fun with me. Hopefully that you really think about that your practice should be fun. It doesn't always have to be so serious. I even get caught up in that myself too. So it's about exploring, especially with a home practice. It's about exploring, seeing what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what do you want to do more of, what do you want to do less of, what do you want to try, what do you want to get rid of. So continue to do that, continue to move, stay healthy, wash your hands. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.